Welcome to the Calm and Connected podcast. I'm your host, Janine Halloran, and today's episode is all about setting up successful playdates. So, a couple of episodes ago, I started talking about why I love playdates. So, you can listen to that episode and hear all about my pros for loving playdates. And today, I wanted to just take a few minutes and focus on how you can set up a playdate in a way that makes it a successful situation. So, first of all, I mentioned before, playdates are a great teachable moment. So for kids who are struggling socially, for kids who are having difficulty making friends, for kids who are having some challenges with different social skills, the way to get better at it is to practice, but you have to practice in a specific way. The best way to do it is to set up some short, structured, one-on-one playdates, because that is the best way to work on practicing that interaction with other people, but in a way that can be scaffolded by adults. So we can set up our kids for success and work on their social skills at the same time by having structured one-on-one playdates. So let me give you a little bit more information about what I think makes the most sense to do when you're setting up a playdate with another child to make it go as smoothly as possible. So first, I've said this a couple times, you want to keep it small, one-on-one. There are so many more dynamics that happen when you have 3 kids at a playdate or 4 kids at a playdate. It gets really, really tricky. And especially 3 is a tough number anyway. We all know that. That's a really tough number of kids to be together, because it's very easy for 2 kids to then gang up on another kid. And that's not what you're looking for. You don't want to create more conflict. What you want to do is set up a situation where kids are able to work together and have a good time, but it's not too pressured. So one-on-one is perfect. And the other thing you want to do is you want to keep it short. So you don't want this sort of open-ended play date, like come over Sunday afternoon and stay till dinner. That's way too overwhelming and too much stress and too much. It's just too much for a kid who's struggling socially. They benefit the most from having a structured play date. So an hour and a half max at the beginning, especially if they're really struggling. You want to make sure that they're able to hopefully have a good experience. The goal is for them to interact and have a positive interaction and want to be able to have more interactions in the future. And the best way to sort of set the stage for that is to keep it short and sweet. I think it also makes sense. You want to start at your own house. You want to start on your own territory if possible. That's where, if your child is really struggling, they'll feel most comfortable at their own home. I would just make sure that all special things are put away. If there's a special toy, if there's a special Lego creation, learn that the hard way. You want to put that up away so that that doesn't get destroyed or knocked down or played with in a way that doesn't help make your child feel good or could lead to some conflict if it's played with. Figure out who you want to have over. You want to invite a playdate buddy over. You know, maybe it's a kid that they see at school and they hang out with, but they've never hung out with one-on-one before, but they get along. Maybe they have something in common. Maybe they both like Legos, or maybe they both like Minecraft, or maybe they're both into Pokemon. And identifying that person and then having them, and then initiating that conversation with a parent to see if there is a time where you can find some commonality and just set up a 1 hour, 1.5 hour play date. An essential part of making sure that playdates go well is for parents or guardians to be able to monitor what's happening. So in order for you to be able to step in if things start to get heated, you need to be able to keep an ear out for what's going on. You don't need to be standing right there over them as they're playing. You don't have to even be in necessarily the same room, but to be able to hear what's going on, hear how they're interacting. And when you're starting to hear your own child sort of start to get heightened, because you know what that sounds like, or if you hear the other kid starting to get a little bit agitated or a little bit irritated, then you can be able to step in at that point and help manage when something isn't going as well. And if things start to not go well, a good snack goes a long way. So I always like to have some, fruit smoothies, gummies maybe. apples, or something that is a quick snack that can help break things up. You want to be careful about allergies and you want to be careful about dietary restrictions. So it's definitely something you want to check in with the parent about. It can be kind of nice to just have a little treat or a little break time and have a little nibble. So it could be something as small as just some sliced apples with cinnamon. And this is the thing that I think trips people up the most. Sometimes kids come over on a play date and then they just look at each other and they think, well, I don't know what I want to play. And so then it sort of, it can devolve into like a screen play date where they are both playing on their iPads or they're both playing on phones. And that's not actually as much interaction as you would like. There is some social interaction that happens on video games, depending on what game they're playing, maybe on Roblox or Minecraft if they're building together. But you really want them, if you've taken the time to set up a play date in person, you want them to do some actual interaction with each other, not on a screen, because, they could play Minecraft together at another time. They could play on Roblox together at another time. They're not necessarily always going to be together one-on-one to be able to interact together in the same room. So I would encourage staying away from screens for this time and really focusing on interacting with one another. But sometimes they have no idea what to do. They just look at you and they're like, I don't know what to play. So this is where, again, as the adult, you have to do a little bit of scaffolding. If they like Pokemon, bring out Pokemon cards. If they like Minecraft, bring out Minecraft Legos if you have them, or bring out different blocks. If they like art, bring out art supplies. If there's lots of fun two-player games that people can play, lots of card games and board games that are just two-player that kids would be able to play together. So, one game I started playing with clients recently was Connect Four Shots, which is crazy. It gets a little bit busy, but it's really kind of fun. Connect Four, War, badminton, even basketball can be one-on-one. So lots of different things that you can do that kids can do. And if they are stuck, have some ideas ready as backup. If they look at you and they're like, I don't know what to do. So have some plans, have some backup ideas. And you could suggest it, and then they may think of something else. And they may say, oh my gosh, yeah, that reminds me of that, but I want to actually go play with my airplane, or I want to play with my Lego guys, or I want to play with my Star Wars guys. Great. The goal is to get them to play. Whether or not they play with the thing that you suggested, it doesn't really matter. It's all about making sure that they just get a chance to play. So if your idea sparks them to play something else, cool. If they get stuck and they don't know what to do, or things start to get a little bit heated, or people start to get a little bit irritated, step in and switch activities. That's always something that you can have as a backup as well. So even if they're not using activity that you had as planned for them, that's cool. Half the time when I set up something for kids to play, when I have kids come over on playdates, they don't play with it. It's okay, but it gives them the opportunity to have the space. So, we have an art cart and that's available. We have games out on the deck if they want to go outside and play outside games. But if they decide that they want to go upstairs and play dominoes, cool. I wanted to let you know I actually have a new book coming out soon with all sorts of playdate ideas. The beauty of this book is that it gives you tons of ideas, but also explains how these playdates can be helpful in honing a child's social skills. So playdates are this perfect teachable moment where you can work on these skills, and you don't have to say, we're going to work on following directions today. But you as the parent know, you as the person who's setting up the playdate know, this is a great way for us to practice following directions, taking turns. So it works out beautifully to be able to have these ideas. And it's also something kids can do with siblings or cousins, even if they don't have play dates with people outside of their family. It even works for people inside the family. So to read more about play and how play connects to social skills and how you can encourage that, please visit encourageplay.com. If you like this podcast, feel free to share it. Subscribe so you'll get notified every time new podcasts come out. And feel free to share, rate, and review. One last thing, don't forget about yourself. Make sure you take time for some self-care and have a little fun too. Have a great day.